Okay, so today I thought I'd share with you 10 things that women who live free from food addiction do, because I've been studying this for over a decade as I've been living free from my own food addiction and helping my clients get free from their food addictions. And there are definitely some commonalities of what we all do and don't do that allow for us to have continued lasting freedom from food. And so I figured if you're wanting to have continued lasting freedom from your food addiction or your food obsession, then you might want to hear what these things are so you can start to implement them. Because while these things alone will not lead to completely eradicating your food addiction, each one of these things in and of itself is an access point for having more freedom in your life. And so by making these practices part of your regular routine, it can actually start putting you on your path of having more freedom from food. So if you're excited to get this insider insight, then please do give this video a like so I know to make more videos like this for you, and hit that subscribe button and make sure to get the bell to be notified every time I post a new video. And if you are returning to this channel, hello, it is so good to have you here. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Debbie Lichter. I'm a food addiction expert and founder of the Freedom Embodied Academy, where I help women get free from food addiction and food obsession so that you can really just feel comfortable in your skin and have the confidence to be authentically you and shine your light in the world. And everything that I share on this channel, like I mentioned earlier, is part of what helped me get free from my food addiction over a decade ago, and things that I've been helping women with ever since to help them get on their path of freedom too. Okay, I'm gonna share these 10 things that women who live free from food addiction do daily, and then at the end, I'm gonna make some recommendations for you if you are wanting to get onto your own path of freedom from food. So make sure to stick around to the end for all of that. And before I do, I wanna first talk about what I mean by freedom from food, because that term food freedom is thrown around so much. It's actually a little irritating and it kind of loses its meaning. And so I just want to share that over here, when we're talking about freedom from food addiction or food obsession or just freedom from food, we're really talking about having the obsession completely go away, no longer thinking and obsessing about food at all. That completely goes away. What also goes away is the compulsion to eat, like the compulsion to have certain foods, the cravings, all of that completely goes away. You might even have your sort of previous go-to binge foods in the house, but you don't feel called to them anymore. They just don't even sound interesting to you. And in fact, maybe sometimes you start to eat them and they don't even taste the same anymore. Another thing that happens with true freedom is that you just naturally find yourself eating only when you're hungry, and you naturally stop eating when you get full. That urge to continue to eat just isn't there anymore. And finally, you just find yourself naturally drawn to eating foods that feel good in your body. You just find yourself actually desiring foods that feel in alignment and feel good in your system. So over here, we refer to that as embodied freedom. And by the way, if you would love to have that kind of freedom, then make sure to stick around, because again, at the end, I will make some recommendations for how you can get onto your path of having exactly that. Okay, so now that we're on the same page with all of that, let's dive into these 10 things. And like I mentioned before, each one of these things is an absolute game changer in and of itself, because each one of these things will positively impact your relationship with food. The first thing that women who live free from food addiction do daily is they get honest with themselves. So honesty is not about beating yourself up. Honesty is not about condemnation. Honesty is about getting real with what is in this moment. So honesty, huge, huge, huge thing that every woman who is free does for herself daily. Okay, the second thing is actually a don't. So women who live free from food addiction do not think about or focus on food. They don't diet, they don't restrict, they don't count calories, they don't fixate on what's on the plan or what's not on the plan. They are internally guided to what to eat. They sense when they are hungry. They eat the foods that feel in alignment with their bodies, and then they lose interest naturally in food once they are full and they move on with the rest of their day. Okay, the third thing is that women who live free from food addiction honor their truth. They say yes when they want to say yes. They say no when they want to say no. They are true to themselves. This is why number 4 is that women who live free from food addiction operate from inner guidance. They operate from their own gut instinct, their own intuition, their own divine inspiration versus outside plans or rules or opinions. And why number 5 is that they speak up, they don't stuff, they communicate authentically. And as part of that authenticity, number 6 is that women who live free from food addiction own and clean up their mistakes without taking things personally. In other words, they take full responsibility for their lives without taking on what is not theirs. Okay, the 7th thing is that women who live free from food addiction get in their bodies. So this is not just referring to exercise and movement, although exercise and movement is absolutely included in this, but this is really talking about women who live free from food addiction have learned how to get their awareness from constantly being up in their heads and how to become aware and grounded and present inside of their bodies. In other words, they've learned how to live from their bodies and be more comfortable in their own skin. Okay, the 8th thing is that women who live free from food addiction do quiet time every day, even if it's just for a few minutes, a few times a day. This is an absolute game changer. If you want to do one thing, implement one thing that will absolutely transform your relationship with food, do this. Okay, the 9th thing is that women who live free from food addiction have a space, a safe community where they can go and they can connect deeply and authentically with other women. And the 10th thing that women who live free from food addiction do is they work with mentors who can support them along their path. They do not do it alone. They ask for help and they are open to receiving support and guidance to move beyond their blocks and their blind spots so that they can get free and they are ready for that freedom once it comes. Okay, so now that you know what these 10 things are, I'm curious which one resonates for you the most? Which one are you inspired to implement right away? Go ahead and leave a comment below. And while you're doing that, I want to share with you my recommendations for what to do to get on your own path of freedom from food. So I got 3 recommendations for you. The first recommendation is going to be your absolute fastest track to getting on your path of freedom from food, and that is to schedule a call with my team. I will leave a link in the description below for you to do that. This is going to be our chance to connect one-on-one and to actually make a personalized plan for your next steps for your path of freedom from food. The second recommendation that I have for you is to download the Freedom from Food Addiction Clarity Guide. So again, I will leave a link for that in the description below. The Clarity Guide is going to go into more detail about what is driving you to food in the first place and how to solve the problem for good. And then the third recommendation is for you to join us over in our Facebook group, the Congruence Collective Facebook group. Again, I will leave a link for that in the description below. A couple times a year, I do some really phenomenal 7-day and 5-day trainings, free trainings in there that are just incredible, can really support you on your path of freedom. And then every single week, I actually do an insider discussion that is based on the topics that we discuss here on this YouTube channel. So it's a really great place to really go deeper and to get more. And if you are really serious about wanting to get on your path of freedom from food, I recommend that you do all 3 of these things. So I hope you got some inspiration and some ideas for how to get on and really embody your own path of freedom from food. So if you got some value here today, please do give this video a like and make sure to watch this video next, and I will see you next time.